so loosely? Why do the synagogues always say love, love? Why did Martin Luther King say love your enemy? He was totally oblivious to bullshit. You understand what I'm telling you? Why would I love my enemy and turn the other cheek? That doesn't make any sense. That's an oppressor programming his people to be dumbfounded. Come on. Y'all better get woke, man. Don't ever turn your cheek to no violence. Never. Somebody hit you, you make goddamn well that you knock the fuck out of them. If you got a 2x4, knock his fucking brains out his goddamn head and choke the shit out that motherfucker with a 2x4 where he can never eat again. You hear me? Don't you ever turn the other cheek. Don't you ever sit back and talk about love. That has nothing to do with love. The Son of God's programmed Martin Luther. Do you understand what I'm telling you? That's why at the end of his days, he knew his death was coming because Jesse Jackson set him up. He was programmed because he wanted the throne of Martin Luther King. But what did Martin Luther King say at the end of his programmability? What did he say? I'm afraid I led my people into a burning building. Come on now. Do y'all understand this? I know a lot of y'all don't even want to hear the truth. Martin Luther King was a homosexual. He used to do all his dirt overseas. He loved them European boys. Did y'all know that? He hated Martin Luther King. And y'all want to know why he hated Martin Luther King? You want to know why? Number one, he knew Martin Luther King was programmed. And number two, he knew Martin Luther King was a homosexual. Now, if you go back and read all the literature, y'all do this. Y'all really want to know some history about Martin Luther King? If you go back and read the history of Martin Luther King with the letters of J. Edgar Hoover, if you go read his letters that he wrote, that they kept confidential. Right now, they don't care. He says in his letters all the time that if the people knew what you really were and what you really do in your pastime, they would be shocked and saddened. What was he talking about? Martin Luther King sleeping with men. Why did Reverend Abernathy have to die for writing a book? He was Martin Luther King's right-hand man. Why did he die? Because in Reverend Abernathy's book, he said that Martin Luther King did a lot of things overseas that people don't know about behind closed doors, that most people will be ashamed of. He talked about everything, how Martin Luther King was not just a womanizer, but Martin Luther King had a thing for boys. Now, here's the thing. They told Reverend Abernathy, you can't put that in the book because that's one of the secrets. Our brothers would not be proud of that. So when he put that in the book, they took him out. But they let it stay. Do y'all understand how this thing works? Okay? Everybody that y'all thought was a leader is not a leader.
Malcolm X was Louis Farrakhan's mentor, his teacher in the Nation of Islam. They believed that the white man was evil, that the black and white races should live separately. When Malcolm X revealed publicly that Elijah Muhammad, the leader of the Nation of Islam, was guilty of impregnating several of his teenage secretaries in direct violation of his own preachings of no sex outside marriage, Farrakhan was outraged, and he wrote that Malcolm was, quote, worthy of death. On February 21st, 1965, as Malcolm spoke in New York City's Audubon Ballroom, members of the Nation of Islam opened fire, killing him in front of hundreds of his supporters. Malcolm's wife and children were there, including Atala Shabazz, Malcolm's eldest daughter. She was 6 at the time. As you will see on 60 Minutes this Sunday, Minister Farrakhan met Atala Shabazz for the first time in front of television cameras. And Farrakhan acknowledged his role in Malcolm's assassination.
I wish that Malcolm X were alive today and not dead. Yes, it is true that black men pulled the trigger. We cannot deny any responsibility in this. Where we are responsible, where our hands are a part of this, we beg God's mercy and forgiveness.
What did you expect to come out of this conversation? What did you hope would come?
I genuinely hope that perhaps a healing can come to Miss Shabazz and her family. As I may have been complicit in words that I spoke leading up to February 21st, I acknowledge that and regret that any word that I have said caused the loss of life of a human being.
If it wasn't for Martin Luther King, pause. Martin Luther King told you, take an ass whipping and keep ticking. Don't swing. Just keep getting bent over and fucked up. Malcolm X says, stop singing, start swinging. What did Elijah Muhammad say? We not to do those things. We need to think, because he's a CIA agent. That's why I have no respect for Farrakhan. Farrakhan knew that Elijah Muhammad was a CIA agent. And all you niggas out there that take that personal, I don't give a fuck. Because all you FOI niggas need to do, you can do, I see a lot of you brothers that's very smart, intelligent as fuck, and you have figured out this metrics totally, but you have damn to figure out that Elijah Muhammad is an agent as well as Farrakhan. How you not know this? You can do all of this fucking research. When the last time you researched your captains and your elders that's controlling the masses of black folk? Malcolm X was not a sellout. I'm going to explain this very quickly. I go to commercial and promote Britney's product, okay? Watch this. Malcolm X knew that he had no one to turn to. He turned to the Brotherhood. Y'all probably said, well, y'all, I remember you saying, I know what I said. But I'm telling you, the man was always straight and narrow. The problem with Malcolm, he trusts man too much. You know, he would cry when he met Elijah Muhammad. After he found out Muhammad was a liar and full of shit and had all these different women out of wedlock and fornication, he couldn't go that way no more. And they were so afraid that his movement could cause an uproar for the FOI, they wanted him dead immediately. So Malcolm went to this white supremacist, which is dead. Let's be real. And what they told him, we'll protect you, but you got to take some pictures with our signs, letting everybody know that you with us now. So he put the 4 fingers on his chin, which is brotherhood. The finger to the temple is brotherhood. He did all these brotherhood symbols to indicate the FOI he's protected now by white supremacies and people of politics and higher up authority. But they made a deal with Elijah that we gonna still get rid of him. When he went to the last ballroom in New York, the guys on the floor did not kill Malcolm. It was literally shot in the balcony. The bullets just went straight across. Now, here's the configures of this. I hear a lot of people say Malcolm faked his death. You know, you guys can believe what the fuck you want to believe, but Malcolm was so hated by the FOI, Farrakhan wanted to kill him himself, and that's the truth. He admitted it. So here's the thing. For Farrakhan to fake his death, what he wasn't, they didn't look at him as Martin Luther. Now, if you told me Martin Luther faked his death, I would believe it, but I know he didn't. Because Martin Luther King was so loved, you know, they could make that be anything, but Malcolm wasn't loved like Martin Luther King. Malcolm was betrayed and hated, and they looked at him different because he was starting shit, and he wasn't. Martin Luther King told black folks to lay down. Take that slap across the face and love your oppressor. Pray for him as he kill your children in a burning building like he did in Birmingham, Alabama. If you kill children and don't respond, ain't shit gonna happen. Look what they did to Emmett Till. We're gonna take it to the courts. No, you should have took it to the death, but we have a chance. Death is better than living sometimes. And so they knew you were a sucker. All they had to do is bring up Christianity and bring a nigga like Martin Luther King. All you did is march. What did he do for you? I'm just asking a question. What did this nigga do? And let's keep it 100. Martin Luther King was a homosexual. Why can't we don't want to talk. We can talk about everything else. We can talk about Harry Weinstein, whatever his name is. We can talk about Hollywood, Brad Pitt, all of these pedophilias. I get it. But why can't you talk about the truth of the matter and let's break this shit down? If we can research all of these other people and find out who we truly are as black men, women, and children, you mean to tell me you that highly intelligent that you can't tell that Farrakhan works for the CIA and set up Malcolm because Malcolm was uncovering all the bullshit? You can't tell me that Farrakhan's son is not a protocol of the CIA when they hands in pyramids. What did that mean? Oh, that just means intelligence. That's bullshit. It's called Illuminati, nigga. They can never be members, but they are employees of the employer. That's it. The puppeteers to the puppet masters. And it's truth. So if we're going to break this shit down, let's break this shit down. You mean to tell me you that fucking smart? To break down all the history protocols and factuals of the physics of the world, but you cannot research and tell me that Elijah Muhammad was an agent for the CIA? Nigga, fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. You can't get me to believe that you don't know. So they believe we're going to see, that's that favoritism. Well, we ain't going to bring that out. But we're going to talk about the cracker. See, we ain't going to talk about Farrakhan killing Malcolm because his truth. We're going to talk about the cracker. Yeah?